They came for the views and stayed for the vitality of mind, body and spirit. It's a tale we've heard time and time again, and the common thread binding the homeowners of home shores together across 4 breathtaking seasons and over 40 uniquely spectacular locations. Throughout our journey, we've indulged in the sensory invigoration of maritime coastlines, watched the wildlife buzz in and amongst raucous rivers, and drawn inspiration from the quiet lull of Mother Nature's luscious lakes. In celebration, we're taking pause and looking back at some of the people and properties that helped make Home Shores what it is. A love letter honouring the meaning of life by the water.
Yeah, maybe you should come home. You've been saying it for so long. Let the water lift you from the city's undertow. Yeah, maybe you should come home.
Water, deep, flowing, mysterious, ever-changing yet constant. The inspiration of artists and adventurers. It's the foundation of life. We are drawn to it, but to watch it, listen to it, immerse ourselves, and for those who choose, to live beside it.
So I was 5 when my dad was in the process of building the home. And so my faint memories are just like moving everything over here, picking out my room, picking out the paint colors, like the details that were important to the 5-year-old little me. Our handprints are in the cement when it was freshly poured out the back door. So we were included like through the building process. I like remember walking around and doing walkthroughs and stuff like that. It really was like my dad's dream that he built for us.
The idea of having the house and then having a family and being able to have so much joy on the lake, that was the big thing. So the great room is my favorite room. It has my fireplace in it. I have my fires for my soul, not really for heat. Although I do end up a lot of time in the theater room watching movies, my fireplace pulls me back to the great room to really relax and be the most comfortable. On the main level, we also have 2 little features that are a little unusual and unique. I love waterfalls, I love water, and we do have a little waterfall in the main level. It's constantly going all the time. Some people like it, some people don't. I love it. That's all that matters. And also with my fireplace, the Rumford Rosen, I also put in a wood room in the house. And of course, there's a mess always carrying the wood up and down the steps. So I put in a wood waiter that electronically brings the wood up next to the fireplace so you don't have to go anywhere to get the wood.
On the boardwalk, we have my dad's heaven chair, which is similar to almost a hammock of sorts. The fire pit and also the sea-doos are down there. That's where we keep the paddleboard, canoe, kayak, and all of the stuff that we would use on the water.
The other feature is that I put in a water feature. It's a 130-foot stream. It goes from one end of my property to the other end. It starts with a waterfall in a pond. At the end of the stream, there is a 9-foot waterfall that goes back into the lake next to the hot tub. Very early on, it was the castle because of the turret. And everyone in the neighborhood called it, oh yeah, the castle's going up. And so it was always the castle. The idea of having the house and then having a family and being able to have so much joy on the lake, that was the big thing, is that we were on the lake all the time. We always swam in the lake and canoed. I can remember so many times away on vacation and we were at resorts and the kids would say, oh my God, I can't wait to get home. And here we are in a resort in Florida or the Bahamas or wherever, and they all wanted to get home to the house. The castle.
Melissa and I had been down the valley looking for a new community, a place to move to eventually retire. We'd settled on another house that we really liked, and then we had about an hour to kill before going to the airport. So we came down this dirt road, and I will chase every dirt road I can find. Melissa, not so much, but now, so we head down this hill, and here it was, this dilapidated little building full of trash with a little hand-painted for sale sign down the driveway. And I said, I want that house.
It was clear that it wasn't a place that anyone was willing to touch with a 10-foot pole. It had been on the market for about 4 months before we came along.
It was love at first sight. We had to make it happen.
The fridge recessed in and really small marine appliances so that everything is hidden. There's actually a dishwasher behind one of the cabinet drawers, and everything is just kind of meant to be streamlined. As you come around, then the bed is also hidden into the wall, and that makes it so that there's a really wide open gathering space for family. There is a sofa in the front window as you come to the north side of the house, where the windows make the entire front of the house, and a sofa that is just propped up sitting looking at the view. And one last Murphy bed as you kind of complete the room as a tiny little child's Murphy bed that tucks into the wall as well. When people come to the front door, it's pretty exciting because they're not anticipating what's going to happen when they open into the view. You can't get past like introductions at the door if you have a contractor or somebody show up. The door opens and immediately the whole introductions piece goes away and they're like, oh my gosh, look at your view. As you walk out the patio and onto the back deck, you have an outdoor kitchen on the one side, and that's capped with a barbecue and a wood-fired pizza oven. One of my favorite clusters of seating is down on the first terrace where it overlooks the waterfall. And so just to sit out there in the morning with coffee, and there's a little fleet of birds that hangs out in that area, and to sit and look at the waterfall, look at the tides, and just kind of find some morning calm. It's absolutely the perfect space. The chestnut tree was grown in a little can from the woman we purchased the house from and her grandmother. And they've nurtured this tree and built it. It's an absolute stellar piece of the front yard at this point. We're kind of gasping at the day we might ever lose that chestnut tree, but I don't think it's going anywhere. What we thought was going to be a 1-year project has now been a 5 or 6 summer session. And so a lot of times we had to kind of figure out how we were going to live in the space, and we ended up having some living outside for a lot of summers, a lot of outdoor living. And it was really, really neat to be able to feel what that outdoor space was. And it did change the design of the home because we were planning an addition, we were planning a bigger house. And then we realized we didn't want to encapsulate that outdoor space because the real estate really is in the outdoors.
To me, a home isn't the physical space at all. It's kind of what's all around. It's who's there with you. What can that space provide? That to me is home. It really is.
I remember driving past Mahone Bay, looking at this place and kind of wondering what was going on out there. I think a lot of people did. There is a bit of a exclusivity, or not everybody can just come to it, given that it's an island. I was requested to take care of the books for the island. One of my partner engineers, he had said that the island was looking for someone for it, and he said, you know, maybe you might be interested. And I said, I don't really know if I have the time. So I said, well, how bad could it be? I made time. I ended up not having enough time for the engineering firm anymore, but it worked itself out. I was always a fan of big, sprawling houses, especially if they're maze-like. There's something about the idea of a search, even if you know the place, it's nice to be able to have different areas you can go and you can feel like you're in a completely different place. The great room, this room was definitely one that drew my attention first. Mainly the fireplace. A lot of people you'll bring in, they don't even recognize it as being a fireplace right away because it is quite monstrous. But that's part of the aesthetic I like, is the big, the heavy stone. All the railings and the grate for the fireplace was all handmade. So it was a one-off from a blacksmith that had made it at the time. So the tower is, there's a lot of time gets spent in the tower. It's nice because you do have a 360-degree view. So if guys are working in the garden and whatnot, you can kind of keep an eye on what it is they're doing. And it has all the little creature comforts, wet bars and fridges and TVs, so it's easy to work and just sit there and relax. Cozy. So the Lobster Temple was one of the last additions we had to the building. Being on the water, we always like to have fresh seafood, but some people don't like the smell of fresh seafood in the house. So we made the Lobster Temple to be able to have lobster and keep the smell, the mess outside. We try to do it as fairly simplistically as possible, and a lot of the cleanup can easily be done by simply throwing it into the fireplace. The beach hut is mainly kids and whatnot, if they go swimming and all that. So it's more of a beach day down there. The beach hut is just nice to be able to sit in. But it's surprising, even in the winter, we put a fire on and it can be a nice spot just to hang out. To me, I always liked a high view, especially a high view of the water. The nice thing with the home bay here is the number of islands and things. So it's not just a vast ocean you're looking at. There's a lot of island features and whatnot. I'm not a huge fan of modern, and this one isn't made that way. In this area of the world, you don't see a lot of stonework, and the roof is slate, something else you never see around here. So those design aesthetics came from like Virginia. I'm very minimalist. If I do something myself, it's very simple, but I actually like more intricacy. It's just not something that comes naturally to me. So with this place, being in that the intricacy was built in before I ever arrived. It has the character with everything still being new and tight and smooth and all those features too.
We were living in a small house there, tight quarters, tight neighbors close by. This property came up for sale and I just liked the size of it, really. It was 9 acres.
And ultimately we wanted to end up on the water, so we kind of wanted to be an open space with nature.
It was a long process. I built it all by myself. It's an accumulation of a lot of things I've done for other people over the years, as far as colors or textures or the deck designs. So it's an accumulation of all those little things that I like that I did for other people along the way. I got to do them all here for myself. I wanted it to feel like it was an old building that had always been here.
Rustic living in the country, but contemporary 12 minutes from the city.
Like, that's why the rough lumber, I guess, is important.
Like, as you can see, the walls are painted, but you can see the knots coming through. The big open vaulted ceiling upstairs is unique. The nautical interior.
Yeah, the nautical interior, the oars on the wall. It's probably better than I could have imagined it. It evolved along the way, but once you start to put all the little parts and pieces, the whole becomes the sum of the parts. So if you have all the little bells and whistles with it and you start to put them all together, yeah, it turned out a lot better than I could have imagined. When you drive up, it's not a complicated building. It's really simple. It has nice straight lines, a little contemporary feel with the finishes and the colors, but just some place that you would just drive into and go, okay, we'll just relax.
One of the main focal points is that window. It just catches your eye and you're coming up the driveway. Also the big barn doors. I like the rustic look that the barn doors give.
Adding the shower was the main thing I did. I like that idea of being able to have a shower outside. One of my other clients has a shower outside, and I just thought it was a really neat idea, and I stole that from them. Like, I'm gonna take that. Same with the decks and the railings. I've done that style for other people on their properties. So, like, yeah, I'm gonna use that again. So it's the best of all the little things that I've done over the years.
We have our cottage life and our house life all on one lot. So, you know, I find that this property creates peace and calmness as well. Quality over quantity. Like, even if you look at this place, it's the way that this place was built to last. It's not big, it's not lavish.
My goal is not to have the biggest piece of land or that. It's just to be able to have my own little world, I guess, where this is my world.
Yeah.
Welcome to my world. The place is built to last. I hope that my kids are here. I hope that my kids get to have their kids grow up here.
Yeah, so ultimately that's what we're creating here, is something to leave to our kids.
It was built in 1991 through Rita. She spent a lot of money here building this custom, making it to her own liking. From the rooms to the woodwork, she had individual contractors for everything on this specifically. Her family still maintained the property for a while.
My dad was looking into moving over to Nova Scotia. He was looking at properties and he came across this one, and he really took a liking to it just because of the beautiful lake view. It did need a lot of work, but we figured we could do it. And then after that he found out it was Rita's, which was even more amazing.
Every day's different. There's never the same day. And that's stimulating to the mind. I need to have that.
The chandelier is one of my favorite things about this house. It's original, it's Rita's, and it's just gorgeous. I also really like Rita's bedroom, which is the one on the main floor. It's massive with a massive walk-in closet.
Well, I love the pool room. It's another aspect of water in your house. Instead of going to the lake, we converted into salt water. No chlorine.
When you buy a house, it doesn't usually come with a piano. So I thought that was really cool that, you know, we got here and there was already a piano. And it's just like a nice artifact. It fits the whole musical aspect of the house. The music too, right? You have the whole Rita thing behind, and then with the piano, it just brings everything together, I think.
Over by the back kitchen there, just before you go outside of the deck there's a couch there.
Yeah, but you don't really relax there, come on.
It's not that I relax there, but it's a comfort zone. We had to replace a ton of boards for roofing, paneling, sidewalls. We've had to trim all the greenery. This was just like a bad haircut here. I mean, it was just out there. The island's in the center. You couldn't even see the house properly from the road. And the same with the rear property. When you look out, you couldn't see the lake at all. We also did Rita's garden. Her chair was where she wrote her music was falling apart. So I've took it to a fella. His father used to work in the coal mines. He rebuilt this chair for me, and he put her songs on it. And he also donated some items from the coal miner stuff, some pictures and a little coal mining wagon out front. Put some names on it and check numbers and stuff like that, and told me a lot about the history of coal mining.
And right at the top of this hill, you see all of Blackett's Lake. The lake is always calm and still, so you can hear a pin drop out there. During the summer, I'll bring my blanket out there, lay there, suntan, relax. It's beautiful.
There's a few lots out here that are big, and then you're driving and then you go, I think I just missed the house.
The community is very close. We get a lot of people in from Sydney, and they're very sweet and they know all about us. We've gotten to know a lot of people just due to the fact that this is a very popular house for the area. We haven't really changed it at all in any way. We've just kind of brought it to life.
I've got people actually thanking me for bringing in tourism and coming into and putting money into this community. And that's huge because they benefit from it all. Now I've come in contact with some of my old friends in university, and it's really cool that I can communicate with them, and they live just down the street, 5 minutes away, and so forth. And now they've welcomed me, and it's just been overall a great experience.
I've spent some time living on a lighthouse and living in the country on a lake, and now I'm on the ocean. There's an older home here. My daughter sent me a picture and said, "Mom, that piece of property is for sale." I was in Ottawa and I just made a phone call and I said, "I want it. That's the price. Yeah, take it." And then the challenges began. You know, we looked at the old building, it just wasn't worth restoring. There was not enough left. But it's found a new life in the tiny home because actually everything you see, all that lumber is over 100 years old. You got to work with nature when you're on this piece of property. I would say the most unique thing is probably the lumber, the wood. There's no piece of lumber that came from a store. If it isn't old and wasn't recycled and reused, then it was, the pine actually came from my woodlot. I've got a massive sink in there. I've got one of the new, huge new farm sinks in there, so I've got lots of space that way. My pet peeve is the sink in the bathroom, and it's too small. I would tell everybody, don't buy one of these little, they're cute, but they're not practical. Try to brush your teeth, try to wash your hands. No. I have a horse trough for my shower. The bottom part of my shower stall is actually a horse trough, and then it goes up and gets bigger. Lots of room in the shower, no problems. But my pet peeve would be my sink in the bathroom. In the country, in amongst the trees, you do not see the birds flying around, swooping around, gathering up like you do here around the ocean. I've really enjoyed the birds much more than what I could in the country. You know, I appreciate the winds, I appreciate the ocean, I appreciate the trees. I have one tree on my property, one little tree, that's all. I also love gardening and I love doing things. I mean, I am active. I like to do, I plant around the house and I love gardening. Veggie gardening, so I have stuff that I can eat that came from my own garden. Considering I live by the ocean, you bring the seaweed in and you plant your potatoes in the seaweed. And that's all they need. I've put in a compost toilet, so I'll use less water, and I've put in a cistern. So again, that's about using less and working with the land. And it makes totally sense to me that the building was here, and why would I not reuse it and repurpose it? And I guess I'm really happy to know that I'm happy in a tiny house. I don't need more. I don't need big space anymore. There's a time when you have a family and kids, of course you need all that room and space, but some people just go bigger, and I've just enjoyed going smaller. It's less to look after, and I appreciate that. I think as I've gotten a little older, I realize that home isn't the material stuff, it's not the stuff. That's why partly I can downsize, right? I don't need to have things. I don't need another room with stuff in it.
Whether nestled alongside a riverbank or perched high above a distressed ocean, living on the shore has its perks. But beautiful views are only the beginning. The sights, sounds, and sensations of the water are constant in their impact, improving moods, perspectives, and lives. To exist and grow on its edge is extraordinary, an experience made even sweeter when shared with the people we love.